Well, good Friday afternoon to you. I hope everybody's having a good day. I am live from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I've got my friend and guest, Linda Davis. Linda is a school teacher from Florida, and Linda has her master's degree. And we have been spending some time sharing and learning, and we want to share some things. We want to share some stories with you today, and we want to talk about metabolic health. Just like our title and our description says, we have all been challenged with this issue, and we just want to share some of our story and what we have found to work for us. And we are just grateful to have the opportunity to be here with you today. So, Linda, we are going to share some thoughts. I want to go back, actually, where I want to start the story. When it comes to the challenges of our life is when we first met. This goes back to what, 2010, 2011,
Yeah,
somewhere in there. I
sounds
came to
about right.
Columbia, and I was a pastor for about 20 years, and I met Linda. She was one part of my church family in Columbia, Missouri, and I met her and her husband James, and we may be able to sneak James in here in a little bit, but we're going to start with the story with Linda. Um, and I'm going to pause there just for a moment. I was struggling with some challenges last year. I've been kind of 9 months out, 8 months out now of some real heavy duty struggles, and we reached back out to James and Linda because we knew their health journey and their struggles, and so I want to start by saying, everything that you're going to hear today is real life stories of challenges that we have, and I know that you're going to be able to identify those of you that are watching, those of you that are watching live today, or will watch the recording. Just want you to know that we understand the struggle because we've lived it. We've lived it. We've really wrestled with this idea of insulin resistance, how it's affected our bodies, this metabolic dysfunction. For me, it was heavy brain fog. I was just really struggling with a lot of areas in my life, overweight, type 2 diabetic. I was struggling with high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So I had all those struggles that seem to be very common when you hit your 50s and 60s. It seems like there's a lot of people that are struggling in this arena. And we have learned some things that we are excited about because we have been able to make some major changes. I mean, we've made some health changes with efforts that really weren't that big. They're pretty small in regard to the big picture. And we want to share some of those with you today. But I want to go back. I want to go back in history. I want to go back to Columbia, Missouri in 2010, where I met James and Linda. And James was a very active elder. We had a lot of ministry. We were active out in the street. We had some things going on in that little church that we pastored there in Columbia, Missouri. And so when I got a call one evening from my wife that James was in the hospital, I was doing a Celebrate Recovery meeting, and I said, okay, I'll get there as soon as I can. I didn't know very many details at all, and I was going to go ahead and finish the meeting and then go to the hospital. And my wife called back a second time, panicked. You've got to get here now. You've got to get to the hospital now. This is very serious. And so I dropped everything and I took off and I went to the hospital. And when I get to the hospital, the doctor is pulling me aside when he found out that I was the pastor, and he was telling me that, probably be wise to, read this family final rites on James because he wasn't going to make it through the night. He was going to die, and I'm just blown away. I mean, we were just doing pretty active and doing stuff, and now all of a sudden he's in the hospital. I'm asking all the questions. Was it an accident? Was it, I didn't know what to even think. And so, Linda, I'm going to let you pick up that story from here from your perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably the scariest night of my literal life, for sure, because we thought he had the flu. He had gone to the doctor on a Friday, got a clean bill of health, and then on Wednesday, he's so sick he can't keep water down. And so I'm like, okay, what kind of crazy flu is this? So by the time we get to the hospital, Within 30 minutes, we're in the ICU. That's where Pastor Sam comes in, and they're saying, we have to put him on life support. He's not going to make it. His organs are failing. Everything is bad. Doctor gave me zero hope. I called him the Grim Reaper because every time he came in, he said something else horrible to me, about what's going to happen and things. And the only person that even gave us like a remote bit of hope that night was the dialysis doctor. And they're like, his kidneys have shut down. That's why his blood is toxic, and that toxins were going to every organ. And so, of
Mhm.
course, that was causing organ failure, right? And so he was like, we're going to get dialysis started. We're going to get it turned around. He is the only medical person that said, we're going to help you
Yeah.
get it turned around. Everybody else was like, they didn't want to give that hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
they didn't want to give the false hope. And they did ask me that night how long my husband had been a diabetic. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, he doesn't have diabetes. And they said, well, Mrs. Davis, his A1C is 19, his blood sugars are over 1,000, and this is incompatible with life.
Did you?
And I said,
Did you hear that? Did you
yeah,
hear what those blood sugar levels were and that A1C? That's just crazy numbers. Like
yeah.
you said, most
And he
people.
was walking around with that prior to getting to the hospital. You know what I mean? Not well for about 4 days, but when he went to the doctor Friday, he was fine. I will say, looking back on it, how hindsight's 2020, right?
Right.
He was going to the bathroom a lot, and he was thirsty, which are critical signs of you trying to get rid of sugars out of your blood, high sugars.
Hmm.
And so that was something that we missed for sure. I did not know it. He did not know it. Apparently the doctor did not know it. They don't test for the things that we need them to test for.
Right.
I
Right.
don't, in fact, I don't even know if he had a blood test at that doctor's appointment. Now that's vague to me as to whether or not they tested blood or did anything. I don't know. But he had a lot of the symptoms of insulin resistance. He had high blood pressure. He had high cholesterol. Was very overweight. I mean, like 100 pounds overweight or more. In fact, when they tried to intubate him, they had to call in a specialist from the respiratory anesthesiology department out of surgery to get the life support tube down his throat because the space was so small, because of the circumference of his neck. And they
Wow.
just kept coming in and telling me, he doesn't like our medicine. We're working on him. Or he doesn't like our medicine. And I'm like, I didn't even know what that meant at the time because I had no idea what they do, how they put someone on life. I mean, I knew it was a tube down. I did know that, but I didn't know what they were talking about. But they told me later after he was out of the woods, that story of like, you know, your weight almost prevented you from life.
So obviously, now hindsight,
Yeah.
obviously, James was probably a diabetic for quite some time. There's
Yes.
no way to tell how long, but you don't get blood sugars that high or, A1C that high if it hasn't been on an ongoing process for.
Yes.
And Linda, I don't know, can you actually see this from there or no?
Yes, I can.
Can you kind of explain a little bit about what that slide is? Because this is the concern that I have, and one
Yeah.
of the reasons we're doing this today, because this was James.
Yeah.
James had no idea that he was pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Yeah. So basically, 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, and most of us don't know it. 1 in 3 are pre diabetic or diabetic, and they say those numbers are going to double in the next 10 years. And it's because we're out here doing crazy things, and we don't know that the symptoms that we are experiencing are leading us down the path to type 2 diabetes. James did not go from walking upright one day to a diabetic coma the next. That
Right.
is not how it happens.
No.
Your body is so cool. It warns you. It gives you the high blood pressure. It gives you the high cholesterol. It gives you a migraine headache. It gives you a skin tag. And all of these things, it gives you the belly fat that's around, non-alcoholic fatty liver. It gives us all these warning signs. And then if we ignore and ignore and ignore and ignore, which is the boat that I was living in, pretty soon you get really, really sick. And that's where James was 13 years ago. We left that hospital as sick as he's ever been, and literally got on a roller coaster. that did not stop until 11 months ago.
Wow.
I mean, I wish the story stopped there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, he started living his life. He had, it was all under control and everything was good. That's just not the story.
What I want you to talk about just a little bit is that even when you did find out, and praise the Lord, I mean, we had a whole host of people praying in that room. I mean,
Yes.
and I believe we witnessed a miracle. I mean,
Yeah.
not a question in my mind. God wasn't done with James Davis yet.
No.
And he wanted to protect your heart because you had just been through an awful lot in your own life with your mom, and just a lot of struggles and challenges that you're having, and your mom getting older and all those
Our
challenges.
daughter was 7 at the time he was in the coma.
So there's a lot of life, that's going on here, and then James suddenly it finds out he's diabetic. Did they talk to him about insulin resistance? Did they talk to him about what to do to correct it? I mean, did he just leave with a bunch of medication, or what?
Yeah.
Talk
So we left the hospital with very little education. And I don't say that as the blame game. I know that, even at hospitals, they only have a certain amount of time to say to you or
Sure.
whatever. He had one doctor come in and basically throw the blame on him. It's you, you're fat, you're overweight, you're doing it to yourself, you are killing yourself. But they didn't come back with education of like, okay, insulin is too high, your glucose is too high. This is what you need to do. They told him, eat every few hours, keep your metabolism up. Um, Here's medicine for you, should control it. When we left the hospital, Sam, his blood sugars were still in the 300s. They were still in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And so he literally, we didn't understand what it was really about. We didn't even really understand where the window should be. So this man's trying to get his blood sugar down to 0 because he doesn't understand there's a range where you should live 70 to 120. We did find that out pretty quickly when his sugar dropped so low he was about to pass out. But so this eating every couple hours, that was definitely a thing that they told us. They didn't really tell us, oh, you should eat this, avoid this. I mean, there was none of that happening. There was a blame game with the one doctor that said, it's you. You did it to yourself. Not one single person said the word insulin resistance to me. I did not hear it until I heard it from your mouth in April of last year.
Now, I want to make sure that you understand, and Linda said it beautifully just a moment ago. It's not the doctors. I mean, we're thankful for our doctors.
Yes.
We're thankful for them. But there's just there's sometimes that they just might, they don't. Again, I think the time is the biggest crunch for them. They just don't have the time. They've got so many patients, so many people to see. I just read a study that said the average doctor has like 7 to 8 minutes to spend with a client, and try to figure out what's going on and prescribe the medications and do all the things that they have to do because the next one's in line, and it's just our modern medicine. That's just kind of where they are. So it's not really on them either.
Yeah.
And
you know what, Sam? It's really interesting to think how many chronic health problems stem from the root cause of insulin resistance and prediabetes and all of that, because diabetes causes heart attacks, strokes, blindness, and amputations. So all those things can be attributed to diabetes, right? And so much of our chronic health is just, if we could fix the cause of all those things, where would we be? Doctors might have more time, right?
Yeah. So there he is. James has joined us. We got the little glitch figured out. James, it's good to have you with us today. And the only thing that I know, I mean, as far as James' overall health goes, it's crazy. I mean, what I've seen in just over a year, it's just amazing, and all the numbers, everything that he's going through, just, what amazing. The only thing is his Ohio State t-shirts, but
hey, hold it now. I mean, you only can go with the best.
That's right, James. That's right. You're been a Buckeye fan forever, man. I know. That's good. So anyway, Linda, you're now moving into a different phase with James. You're trying to manage these blood sugars. You've left the hospital. Now it's the day-to-day routines, and we're talking about now 2, 3, 4, 5 years that you're just trying to balance and maintain his blood sugars, and they're like all over the board, right? I mean, you can't ever get them leveled.
Yeah. Like I said, a roller coaster, up, down. I mean, sideways. I mean, I probably called the ambulance on him at least 6, 7 times for low blood sugars, because those are as terrifying as the highs. Because if the low gets too low, they'll pass out. And then where you at? Like, what are you going to do now? So those were as terrifying to me as the highs were to him, because sometimes with the highs, he was able to push through and kind of ignore till he couldn't, but since this, this episode of the coma for 5 days, he's been in the hospital in the ICU at least 6 times. Once with an actual stroke.
James, why don't we talk about your stroke? I mean, we kind of went through what happened in Colombia and the diabetic coma. I mean, from non-diabetic to diabetic coma. I mean, that's just crazy in itself. But you're not alone, unfortunately, James, and that's why we're doing these lives. We want people to be aware that this is a real danger zone. You've got to know what your blood sugars are, and you've got to pay attention to this stuff. And that's why we're trying to educate a little bit on insulin resistance and the impact that it's made in our life. So now you've experienced a stroke.
Right. Because I'm a diabetic, right? And I was taking 250 units of insulin a day, and it was not happening. It just wasn't working.
Wow.
And every time I go to the doctor, they would just raise it because it wasn't working. So one night I'm at work, my boss tells me, he goes, "You're walking funny. Why don't you go see our medical team and let them check you out and then figure out what's going on?" So I went and seen our medical team at work, and we have doctors and nurses and, real professionals 24/7 where I worked at the time. And so I go there and they check me out and they're like, "Well, we think you're getting the flu, Mr. Davis." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just going to go home, drink a bunch of extra water and go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night." Thinking in my mind, I just flush it out and I'd be good to go.
That's what we typically do. Yeah.
Right.
Do you see a flu theme kind of going on?
Yeah.
Beware the flu.
So I left work. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I texted my wife and told her that I was leaving work early, that I had the flu. And I get home, I go to bed, and I wake up about 10 o'clock in the morning. And when I woke up, I couldn't move my legs. So the first thing, any good husband would do would be call your wife and tell her what's going on and see if she can help. Well, the problem was she was in a different city than where I was. So I called her up and I told her what was going on. And she goes, "What do you mean you can't move your legs?" I was like, "They don't work. I don't know what's going on." And she goes, "I can't really help you from here, but you have a brother that's a nurse. So call him, have him come and check you out and see what's going on." So I do all that. He checks me out and he just starts shaking his head. He goes, "Brother, I don't know what's wrong with you, but something very bad is happening to you. I don't know what it is, but we need to get you to a hospital right away." I'm like, "Dude, just drag me up to your truck, throw me in there, and let's go. We don't have time to wait for an ambulance or any of that stuff. Just drag me out there and let's go." So he did just that. And we get to the hospital and he goes, "Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to tell them that you're having a heart attack, and that will get you in the back very, very quickly.
Yeah,
we won't tell them that you're paralyzed or any of that, because they will not even look at you, right, for hours." And I said, "Okay, you're the nurse. You do what you got to do." So we did that. I am in, one of the ER rooms all day, right? They come in, they take me down for a CAT scan, MRI. They draw so much blood, I didn't think I had any left. And Doctor comes into my room and he goes, Mr. Davis, we have found out what is wrong with you. I'm like, okay, I've been waiting for an answer because this is really starting to get scary. And so he tells me I have vertigo, right? And I'm thinking, scratching my head, I'm like, vertigo, isn't that the dizziness, ringing in the ears, balancing? I'm like, Doc, I can't even stand up. How in the world can this be vertigo? He doesn't even pay any attention to me. He just turns around, writes something down, and gives it to me and says, take these. You should feel better in the morning. But if not, come back and see us. I'm like, okay. You know, sometimes you talk to somebody, they say something and you hear something else.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I heard. We don't have a clue what's wrong with you. And if we can't, this medicine doesn't fix it, come back and see us. We'll try to figure it out tomorrow. That's what I heard. So took 2 nurses to put me in the car because I couldn't walk. And I go to stay at my parents' house. And when I wake up the next morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning this time, now I am paralyzed from the neck down. Still don't have a clue. Nothing comes to mind of what this is. I'm like, I've never had a flu like this before. I'm still thinking flu, right? Just like I did when I was in the hospital, you know, in a coma. Thought it was the flu. I yell for my dad and my brother. I'm like, you guys need to get me dressed. We got to go to a different hospital and figure this thing out. So we go to the hospital. They do all the same things the other hospital did. The CAT scans, the MRIs, drew a bunch of blood that I didn't think I had left. All of these things. Finally, a doctor comes into my room and goes, Mr. Davis, we know what's going on with you. Now, if I couldn't have done this, I would have, but I couldn't. I was like, well, that's great news. What do we got? He looks at me and he goes, Mr. Davis, you've had a stroke. You know, my eyes about come out of my head because I'm a borderline bleeder. And I'm like, doctor, it's pretty much impossible for me to have a blood clot in my brain because my blood's so thin. I'm like, if I cut myself shaving before church, I'm not going to church because I can't get the bleeding to stop. He goes, oh, no. It's not from a blood clot in your brain or a blood vessel bursting in your brain. It's from too much sugar in the back of your brainstem that cause oxygen not to get to your brain. That's how you had a stroke. And he goes, I go, well, what happens next? He goes, well, we're going to start you on intense physical therapy. Now, I don't know if any of you out there have been through physical therapy, but that requires you to do something, right? And I can't move anything from the neck down. So I'm thinking, I don't know what this is going to be, right? Because I can't move. I don't know. He goes, don't worry about it. You know, the PT folks, they will come in and they will manipulate your arms, your fingers, your legs, your toes, all of it. And this will happen 3 times a day. I was like, for how long? He says, for as long as it takes. So it took about 18 months for me to be able to start moving my legs just a little bit. It's gotten a lot better since then. I still have deficits on my left side. This is my left arm and my hand. It dangles all the time. Can't really do much with it. I walk with a limp on my left side. It's gotten a little bit better, but probably this side of heaven, it's probably not going to get any better than it is now.
So let's chronicle a little bit of a timeline here for the viewers. And it's so unfortunate that you were literally in a stroke for 2 or 3 days before anybody figures it out. 4 days.
Yeah.
5 days.
No,
it wasn't 5 days, honey. That was the coma. 48 hours. It was missed by medical professionals for 48 hours.
Okay.
So
Yes. Okay.
couple of days, which is long
Yeah.
enough. If they would have caught it the first, you might not have been quite in the situation as bad as it gotten. But it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I mean, they
Yeah.
have medicine to give you if you're in a stroke and they catch it early enough. Within like 12 hours, I think you can, they can give you something to help reverse it. Though it's interesting to me, like if that's a stroke caused by like an aneurysm or a brain bleed. So I don't know if it worked the same as it was because his was a sugar clot, is what they told us. That he had so much sugar in his blood at the time. I'm sure his triglycerides were, who knows what they were that time, but they were probably through the roof. But they said it was the sugar that went up, free floating sugar in his bloodstream went up to the brain and clotted it. So I don't know if it, that meds would have helped that situation either. So
Okay.
God only knows.
So
What.
he's in the hospital in Colombia. What year?
That was 2012.
Okay, so we get to Colombia in 2010. A couple of years later, James has that episode in the hospital with the diabetic coma, and then the stroke ends up being what year?
2017.
Okay, so from 12 to 17, and now you guys are still fighting this whole blood sugar nightmare mess that's never stopped since 2012, and is continuing on every day dealing with issues.
Every day.
So James ends up back in the hospital, and I think we seen something posted on Facebook because they're living in Florida now. We're in Northwest Arkansas. I seen something. I don't know how I knew, but we contacted.
Well, Carlene had reached out to me. I'd kind of been blowing her off a little bit because we had this flu and we were sick. And then she contacted me again, and I'm like, oh, well, James is in the ICU right now, and that's not a good time. I think that's what I told her. So that's probably how you guys found out.
Yeah,
I imagine.
And I think we reached out though because we've seen you were we were asking for prayers or something was going on with James. Something triggered us to say, hey, let's call and see what's going on, and that's when we found out we again. Which now, for me, and the part of the story for me is that, in last January I was really struggling with some issues in my own life. I was going to be 63, and I'm sorry, I was 63. I was going to be turning 64 in August, and I was just felt like I was falling apart. I mean, dealing with brain fog, depression, overweight. Just this never had any energy, never felt good. Just struggling with all kinds of stuff. And it's like, man, what is going on? I mean, I've carried this weight for a long time. I mean, I've always been able to manage it. Why am I just feeling this way? And then I'm literally pleading with God and praying for God to help me, give me some guidance and some direction, and forgive me for being in this condition. I mean, I know I let myself get in the condition. I mean, it wasn't him. I mean, I'm overweight for a reason. I ate too much and I ate too often, so I was really struggling with pleading to God for help. And I found somebody out on TikTok, found Megan O'Brien, and started learning about something I'd never heard of, and that was insulin resistance, metabolic dysfunction, metabolic health. I mean, I thought, to me, I went to the gym probably 10 years prior. I went to the gym to try to lose some weight, and the coach, or the guy that was working with me, the fitness coach, told me, you need to be eating about 6 or 8 small meals a day. You need to keep your metabolism up. And I'm like, so for me, metabolic health was just what I thought it was just keeping your metabolism up by eating, and that's all I really ever knew about metabolic health or metabolism was that issue. So I didn't have a clue. And so Megan started explaining to me about insulin resistance and started explaining to me the way that insulin, the granddaddy hormone of them all, the bully hormone in your body, how it works, and when you're insulin sensitive, how it opens the cells. It just slides in and unlocks the cell, and it puts energy into the cells, which in turn puts energies into the organs. And so you have good brain function, and you have good liver and kidney and heart function.
And muscles.
Just everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pick up this book by Dr. Ben Bickman, Why We Get Sick. And if you don't take away anything at all today, snap a picture, take this with you. This book
Awesome
will really put you on a good path. That's what Megan recommended, and that's what I did. And then I started reading about and understanding about food, Metabolical, by Dr. Robert Lustig. He had to retire as an MD before he could write this book, but this book really explains what's going on with big food and big pharma, and started really clicking and making sense. All the medications I was on, and blood pressure. Why was it every time I'd go to the doctor, they'd want to up my blood pressure medication? And I'm like, wait a minute,
Yep.
This is medication is supposed to be helping me. Why am I not going down? I mean, why I'm taking this for a period of time? I should be getting better, not going the other way. And it's just your age. You're just getting older. That's just what happens in your body.
Yep.
You age. Nobody talked to me about food. Nobody talked to me about diet. Nobody talked to me about intermittent fasting, about insulin resistance. None of that. Never heard of that. But somebody on TikTok or somebody on YouTube, like what we're trying to educate and what we're trying to do now, is that there's a lot of people that are suffering and struggling with type 2 and non-alcoholic fatty liver and all of these things, and they don't have to. And I found this all natural protocol. I'm going to have Linda explain and talk about how we take this in just a moment. But I found a nutraceutical, and it's different than a supplement. It's not a supplement. Supplements are not regulated. A nutraceutical that's regulated, that's in the physician's desk reference. The science behind this, 21 clinical studies. It's just an amazing product. And I know what I heard when I first introduced to it was 90-day money-back guarantee. Nothing to lose. Because I was skeptical as anybody else. And sounds too good to be true. And what we hear, what we say, when it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's what I was thinking, even though I thought it would be wonderful. And so I went ahead and got started in the last part of January, first part of February this last year. And in 90 days, I had taken it and I had dropped about 55 pounds in 90 days. And in 120 days, my A1C went from 7.1 down to 5.5. Now, here's a picture of me. You can see all the inflammation. You can see how my neck, the size of my neck was I lost 2 inches in my neck. Just all the, just massive change, that started happening. But I was feeling good. I mean, I wasn't having the brain fog issue. I wasn't feeling as depressed or all this stuff. I just started feeling better with just a couple of things that Linda's going to explain to you, some time-based eating and taking a couple of Unimate or yerba mate tea. It's really a mate. It's not a tea. It's mate, but that's what we refer to it as. But a couple of packets of that and a fiber packet a day. How in the world could this change my gut health? How in the world could this change so drastically, so easy? And it wasn't that difficult. Right. That's what was amazing. But Linda, why don't you explain kind of what we do when we're talking about this product?
Yeah. And the one thing I would like to say is that, it's like Sam said, it's all natural. It's from plants. And that's the thing that really intrigued me. It has 0 side effects and no contraindications with meds. So you can take this while you're on your meds. You might need less meds. That'd be the one thing you'd have to worry about. And that's not a bad thing, right? Taking less meds. And that's exactly what happened in our house as well. When Sam reached out to us, we were in a dark space. James was just in the ICU, again, having another stroke-like episode. That's happened at least 6 times since the actual real stroke. When you live with someone with chronic illness, first of all, you ignore your health and you just walk with this dark cloud over you at all times. So when Sam reached out to us and said, you need to try this, I thought to myself, there's not $1 in my budget. I don't know how I would do that. But he explained to me, like, we're going to do some intermittent fasting, Linda. You're going to skip breakfast. That's going to save you at least $5. And I know that to be true for a fact because we went to McDonald's many mornings for breakfast. That was at least $10 every morning. This protocol costs $5, a little bit over $5. So I thought, well, he's right. I would save $5 a day if I stopped doing that. My Diet Coke consumption alone pays for this. I stopped, buying like 4 liters of Diet Coke every week, at the grocery store. That paid for this. We stopped eating out so much, started eating at home. I took some of the processed garbage off my list, So what we do in the morning, when we get up, we make a tea, put it in water, shake it up. I throw mine over ice with a little bit of lemon. I like it really cold. Some people like it hot. And I just sip on this. I don't guzzle it. I just sip on it all day till about lunchtime. Now, I am not the best person with the tea because I should make another one at school. But I usually wait till I get home. And so I get like 1.5 done. I usually am like halfway through this one, you know, by the end of the day. I rarely get the two like I should. I need to be better at it. It probably would be better for me, for sure. But really, you just sip another one in the afternoon. So anytime you're not eating, you're sipping on this tea. And so I break my fast at about 11:30 with I eat lunch with my kiddos. Sometimes I don't eat lunch at all, and I just work through lunch while they're eating. Um, and so I try to break my fast with protein, fiber, and fats, healthy fats. And that's what I try to eat. And then I make the other tea when I get home, sip on that until I'm ready to eat supper. And then this is fiber because we don't get enough fiber. There is no fiber in our foods. It's been stripped out. I have a box of Special K cereal on the top of my fridge, less than 1 gram of fiber. You would think heart healthy, got all the sign. I mean, it's supposed to be so good for you. Less than 1 gram of fiber. And fiber, I did not know it, but it fills you up and it regulates your glucose spikes by like 43%. Metformin, 23%. For a comparison, this fiber packet right here, all natural from 7 different types of plant fibers, 43% lowering of the glucose spike. Okay. So I mix this up in about 3 to 4 ounces of water. I shake it up. I drink it fast because it gets thick. You want it to get thick inside your stomach, not in your cup. It's not as enjoyable to drink when it's thick. Although some people say they can do it, no worries. I think James probably can drink it at any whatever, but I cannot. It has to be thin, cold, and I'm fast. That's the goal for me. And it doesn't taste bad. It's just a texture kind of a thing. And it's 5 seconds of your life a day. That's what I want to tell people that struggle with this. It's 5 seconds, but it's worth so much more than that because it controls that glucose spike. So if you do eat a carb, like say at the end of my meal, this is how I do it now. I put the carb at the end. Last night we had a waffle. I hadn't had a waffle and I don't even know how long, but I had eggs, turkey bacon, and a waffle. But that's exactly how I ate it. I ate the eggs, the bacon, and the waffle. But I had this first. And I only needed one waffle because I was full by that time, right?
It's good.
And so this has been a game changer for us. James now does one before both meals, but often a lot of times we just eat one meal a day now. Like we just skip lunch and we just eat supper. Um, and that has been a game changer. So for me in 90 days, almost 40 pounds gone, over 12 inches gone, my migraine headache's gone, my plantar fasciitis gone, all my hormone issues resolved. I'm pretty sure sleep apnea is improving. I don't think it's gone yet, but it's improving. Sciatic nerve pain is calmed way down. Um, and I have energy through the roof. I mean, absolutely through the roof. My little kids, by the end of the day, they are just laying on their desk and ready to go home. And I still got it, you know. And I know it's our diet. It's definitely our diets. But I also have, you know, my little secret weapon on board. This works better than any Diet Coke ever did. And I still like Diet Coke. I'm not saying I have gave it up for good for life. But this replaced my Diet Coke to the point where I didn't even really miss it and need it. You know what I mean?
So when what you're thinking right now, because it's what I was thinking when Megan was telling me and Anne Marie was telling me about all this stuff. Because how okay, this is what happened to me, right? But how do you know, you viewers out there, how do you know when I took these pictures how old they are? I mean, you don't know that for certain. I'm telling you, it's the truth, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
But here's what I can tell you for sure. Okay, is numbers don't lie. So when my A1C went from 7.1 to 5.5, my dates are all on here. Numbers don't lie. This is what happened when I started doing this protocol. In 120 days, my type 2 diabetic, no longer type 2 diabetic after 120 days. That's crazy. It's lifestyle. As we learn about insulin resistance, as we learn about metabolic health, as we learn about what that hormone insulin does in our body and the way it responds to glucose, it doesn't take a long time to start healing that when you understand it. but we don't understand it. This we should have learned in junior high health class.
Amen.
We did it. We didn't learn it. It wasn't being taught at that period of time. I believe they knew about it, but it wasn't being taught to us. And big food and big pharma are players in all of this. And we've got to learn that there are better ways and alternative ways to get healthy. And that's why we took the time today to share this live with you. I'd like to thank James and Linda for being here with me today. Their story is amazing. Their story is powerful. I love these two with all my heart. I've been able to really see how this how it's moved the needle for them. So in closing, James, any final thoughts just in closing?
Well, I hit a milestone today because I've always been trying to catch up with Pastor Sam. And so I jumped on the scale this morning, down 59 pounds.
Hey.
So
yeah, he hit the 180s for the first time in like many years.
I seen the T-shirt that you guys posted on YouTube the other day. That large. It was
a large, yeah.
But it was a large.
Now, I bought that, or someone bought it for me in 2002 when we won the championship, and I haven't been able to wear it
since.
And I put it on the other day, and I'm like, this works.
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. He was shopping in his closet all morning this morning. Yeah, he was happy as a lark.
Linda,
but we didn't say it, but his A1C dropped from 12.3 to 7, and we are slated to go back to the doctor soon. So I'm thinking it's lower than 7 now. But
wait a minute, from 19.
Right.
To where it is today is just a miracle. So
yeah, and that was on 15 units of insulin because his doctor took him off of it back in April. After 2 weeks on this protocol, she took him off all mealtime insulin. So Alexa off.
That's pretty amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Linda?
No, I just reach out. Like you have nothing to lose. 90 days, man. 90 days. What could be different in your life?
Yes.
What could be different?
I just want to say, if for no other reason you just want to feel good, the other stuff is bonus because it'll still do all those things we talked about. But if you just want to feel good, sleep through the night, wake up like a new person, try it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line, right? As we get older, we think that this is an old person's disease or that is or whatever, and we start feeling the aches and pains and the bones cracking a little bit. Just try it and you'll feel good. How much will you pay to feel good?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
you're gonna pay one way or another. I love that, Linda.
Yeah. Right.
I hear you say that a lot. You're gonna pay one way or another.
Yeah.
So 159, $550 a day. I mean, it's just.
I'll trade my hospital bills for this protocol for anybody who wants to take those on for me.
Amen. That's awesome. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing and you want to hear more, subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell, and it'll push it out to more people, so more people can see. And we will continue to do these kind of. James and Linda are starting their own YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing these lives, and we're going to try to educate as many people as we can. So keep watching out for more information. You guys have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
Yep. Have a good day.
All right, you too.